Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Well, welcome to the Spicy Brain podcast. Where we are navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
Radical acceptance. High kick.
So welcome if you're new. We're so happy to have you here. We've got some new people every week, it seems like. It's really exciting, and we're just happy you're joining us. And for those of you OGs, your original people, we know who you are. You know who you are. You're the best. And they give us so much good feedback, and we're just so happy to have them all with us this week. We are usually kind of going into a book. We kind of dig into that chapter. We dig into that brain of yours or mine, because we both have spicy brains, different types, different flavors, different spice levels.
Flavors.
Yes. And then sometimes if we get around to it, there might be strategies.
Right. Maybe.
But maybe. I mean, we don't promise.
We don't promise because, we're not experts. We're just sisters.
Just sisters. Yeah, sisters. And then I just want to sing that song because it's starting to be that time of the year. Yeah, sisters. There were never such devoted sisters. Hopefully we don't have to pay for the royalty rights just for saying it. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have to check on that one. Okay, well, good. All right, so this book is The Essential Guide to Raising Complex Kids, and it is by Elaine Taylor-Klaus. Yes. Okay, so one of the OG listeners, Taryn, said to me the other day, she said, I love this series. And I said, that's interesting. And she doesn't, she doesn't necessarily have kids, right? So I was kind of curious. And she goes, I just love how many different forms of parenting there are, the way we're describing it. And I was thinking about that because between the two of us, I was trying to think of how many forms of parenting we do.
A lot.
You're a dog parent. You're a inner child parent, rosy inner child parent, your own self, right? You're a step parent.
Yep.
And then don't you feel like, I mean, for me, I have some of those same bits, but don't you feel like we parent in a lot of ways just in general in our lives?
I mean, yeah, I'm a Rosie. So I parent in a weird way. I know I'm not my nephew's parents, but I help parent them and teach them, and
the village.
Yeah.
The parent village.
I think teachers are parents, and there's all this parenting is just lessons in life and learning how to be an adult. So I think you can get parents and you can get parental figures in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
I agree. And I think it really made me think when she said that. So thank you, Taryn, for making me think about that, because I was trying to think of all the parents in my life that I've had. I mean, obviously we have our mother, who's amazing. The Commander Mama, we call her sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
But I can think back through my life, and there's these little people who came in, and maybe their voice is sort of still in my head a little bit. Different things that they taught me of how to be an adult, or the expectations. And I don't know. I was just thinking about that. It's kind of a nice way to think of it. So in this chapter we're finishing up chapter 2. We're in the middle of chapter 2. We keep promising we're going to keep going forward. But okay, we had these different parenting kind of archetypes, and we were sort of going through them last podcast, and we have some more to do. So I kind of thought they were fun because we sort of saw these parenting archetypes in different places. So I'm going to bring this one up. This is Anxious Ava. And so this parenting
or
type,
Alan.
Again,
Anxious
Alan.
Ava
Thank
or
you.
Alan. Yeah.
Thank you. The whole point of this was that these are sort of maybe things that maybe are not as ideal for the kid. Something you might want to think about if this is sort of your go-to. But I have felt, and I wrote a blog post about it, that hopefully we'll figure out how to post somewhere, who knows. But talking about, I think I've been these archetypes in different stages of Josh's life for sure.
Yeah.
But okay, so Anxious Ava's always worried about what might happen and what won't get done. You catastrophize and fret. You're not doing enough as a parent. And then you manage anxiety by planning and get everyone to follow every little structure you put in place. And I was thinking of myself when I read that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to describe me?
Anxious Shelley. Oh, I'm going to describe you. That seems like seems like a slippery slope that could get me into a lot of trouble. Like, no, I refuse.
That's probably a good boundary. Probably a good boundary. So that archetype seemed like I'm worried about what might happen.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that was interesting because I was sort of thinking of myself and being a little bit down on myself for being that way so much. It's how I got through my day for many, many years. And I would rehearse it, like I would rehearse every little thing almost in my mind. And I think, when you think about it, it's that you're worried what will happen. It's sort of, you look at it and you're like, oh, well, that's sort of sweet in a way, right? Like somebody's concerned, but then it turns out to become like, what are those constrictor snakes, like a
boa constrictor,
like an anaconda or something.
Oh,
like you become
like a boa constrictor.
Yeah, but like, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of a different one. But that idea of you can actually suffocate the life out of all around you by being so worried, I think.
Yeah. I think like any of these things, it's like they're tools, and if they're stopping you from living, or if they're affecting your life negatively, I think that's when it probably is something that has to be addressed.
Yes.
Because like there's moments where you need to be anxious.
Personally.
Yeah. I think there's moments like when it's supposed to be like when it was valid for things to be anxious, right? Like there are real moments in time like you need to be anxious. But I think that like if that's kind of the place that you come from, that can be the challenge. And like I find myself doing that right now, just like with us, like Brian and I are having to learn how to adult right now in new ways because he's retiring, and like I feel myself being super anxious. So like I 100% connect with this archetype. Like even just today we were talking about like how stressed out I am, and I just I'm like so worried about what's going to happen in the future.
Future forwarding, you call it a lot, I think.
Yeah,
it's so true. I don't feel that way generally now, but there are moments that I can get into it pretty quickly, and it almost feels like a gear. I mean, I know it's probably just like a neural pathway or something that you're used to going on, but it feels like a gear that like I shift into, and sometimes I don't even know I've shifted into it until
you're deleting a bunch of things that you're not wanting to delete or meaning to.
Or my friend Heather's sending me like the Kermit flailing arms panic, sign or something, that I'm in that mode. So I think it helps to have people around you, if you do it, that you feel comfortable, can be like, hey, by the way, you're in it right now.
I love
Anxious
you.
Ava,
I'm worried
and
that you're
Alan.
in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what it's like as the kid to experience it.
Yeah.
I don't know that our parents were that way, but maybe they were, and I just didn't realize.
I don't know if that was like, that's not what I saw as like the go-to.
No.
But I have had like bosses that are super anxious, and I think it's like there's just like this concern that who's really steering the ship. Because like when someone's so anxious, like it's debilitating that, I think you can miss out on mentoring and actually parenting your kids. Cause like you're so anxious about it. But if you're living always in the future, or in the past, then you're not in the present. And, that's how I always felt like with the bosses that I had that were really anxious. It's like, dude, just be right here. Like what? Okay. I can't foresee the future. Like what's going to happen next?
Right.
Like, and I felt like I was having to almost parent them on some level. Cause like they just needed to be calmed down. And I'm like, this is not my job. My job is not to calm you down, but I feel like the only way we're going to get anything done is if I do.
Right.
So I could see that this like being a kind of almost more of an enmeshed relationship, like where depending on your kid, like your kid could start taking over the like, oh, I have to be the parent. I could see that with this one for sure.
I was thinking also it could feel like maybe, that you don't feel like the kid doesn't feel like they're good enough, or that they've figured it out, or whatever. You know what I mean? That there's something that they still need to do differently or better all the time, because it's not quite enough. I often wonder that with Josh, if I ever kind of get to that without meaning to, but like give him that message sort of inadvertently that maybe
he'll end up
he's
homeless
not enough or something.
Shooting heroin into his eyeballs.
Yeah. One day I did say that to you. Because you were good. You were like, okay, well then what? Well then what? Well then. And then of course, when you keep saying, well then what will happen for people who are highly anxious, like I can be, then you start saying crazy things like he's going to end up in a box shooting heroin into his eyeballs, and then realizing, like, you hear yourself say it and you're like, oh, well, clearly that seems extreme. He's 8, but like, it's like,
but I think that's also like what's so useful about that. Cause like, that's what I learned in group was like, just keep taking it to the next logical step. And like, if you hit the step and it's like realistic, then okay, maybe there's something to be worried about. But like, if you're going in like the final, and then what is like, in a box, living in a box, like then it probably is more
maybe it's a time to take a step back and reassess where you're at with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Pushover Pat, or
no, Pat's fine, because
Pat or
Pat and Pat.
That reminds me of that SNL skit. Okay. Kind and caring, but you don't set limits. And when you do, you don't follow through with them. You don't like how family members talk to you, maybe, but you don't know how to change it. And you want the family to just get along, feel safe, but someone is always upset. And you might say things like, I just want everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not this person. This one's definitely not me, which I kind of envy this person, though, a little bit. Like, sometimes I would love to be just a little bit more of a, I don't like the word pushover, but, I wouldn't mind just like going with the flow. But are they going with the flow? I don't know.
I don't think that's what pushover Pat is. I don't think that's like going with the flow. No, because like I think when you're saying, I just want everyone to be happy, then that's also inherently telling people that whatever they're going through is invalid. And so if you're kind of pushing through, you're pushing over the issues, like you're kind of sweeping them under the rug. I think that it can lead to that. And I can see people feeling really invalidated by it. It's like, so I always just have to be good. Like when do I ever get to have a chance to be not good? And I think that can, it's hard to have to like sit with somebody when they're in an emotional state. But like the best thing you can do is just to be there for them and listen. And I know that's really difficult to do, but like that's probably the nicest thing you can do to honor someone. And I think if you're a pushover in that sense, where like, or if people are causing you pain and you're not talking about it, you're teaching your kid to not deal with it.
Yeah, and you don't like how they're talking to you. That might be something that. Yeah, that they're learning that behavior then. Yeah. It's interesting because I think that's, I wonder, in a way where it comes from. I'm so opposite of this that it's hard for me to kind of figure out what motivates it in some ways. Like, again, not a judgment. I'm just kind of curious about it. If it's something where it's just like, you don't want confrontation, maybe.
I mean, I think that's how I was when I was a kid. When I first started off, it was like I watched other people around me get pummeled, and so I'm like, I don't want to do that. So then I just won't speak up. And like people can say whatever they want to say, because like for me, I freeze. Like when you have the whole fight, flight, and freeze, I freeze. And I could see that being an easy way for someone to push you over.
So interesting. Yeah, because I would have said before that I was fight, but I think I'm flight. I'm equally fight and flight. I don't know. It's like a weird combo, but So for you, you freeze though. And so you could kind of see this being like a little bit of a freeze. They're froze. They just don't know what to do.
I think so. I mean, cause yeah, like when you're trying to, I mean, you know, when you say, tell somebody that they're not, you know, you're not enjoying what they're talking about. It's like, how do you do that? Like, what would I say to them? How do I, you know, it's like if I'm like just the last couple of days, like I've just been really down and like, not knowing, like I knew we needed to get stuff done and I just was like, I can't do it. And when I think about like trying to tell you, it's the hardest thing for me to figure out, like, how do I tell you that I'm just not good? And I just need to not, I just need like time away and for it to be not good for a while. But like, that's just the hardest thing to ask and like try to figure out. Because like, who does that? We don't do that in our lives. We don't say like, hey, I need a mental health day. I should start doing it more. I think I ended up doing that last night where you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, I'm just not. But it was like, it took everything in me last night to be like, I am not okay to do stuff.
Wow.
I think I like tried to make it about you. And then I was like, wait, no, I should own this. Like, this is not about you. Like, this is me. Like, I just am not in it right now. But like in the past, I would have kind of been pushed into doing it. I mean, even like right now, right? Like, I mean, it's late.
I think
I'm
like sitting here looking at you like, oh gosh, did I just like push you into doing this tonight because you wanted me to do something else? And I was like, let's just do it. We're here. And you're like, well, okay.
No, and it's true. I mean, like, it's absolutely true. Like, that's kind of exactly, I was like thinking that, like, well, that is, I wouldn't have thought that I'm that way, but like, I am that way. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Just tell me what to do. It's fine. Cause I think also partly with like ADHD, it's like, because my part of it is like that flittering, flighty, kind of like flitter. I'm a butterfly flittering from one flower to the other. And in doing so, like, I don't get things done. And so it's like, it's hard to know, like, I think for me, is this ADHD or is this Megan, you know, just dragging her feet? And it's hard to tell. It's hard to know like what the difference is. So I weirdly can identify with Pushover Pat.
And I feel like I just pushed you over, but I do also think it's interesting when you're saying it because I wonder, you know, I didn't really take this through the lens of thinking about parents who have complex issues parenting. And so if that's also something you're dealing with, which I do deal with, you know, just different things than ADHD necessarily, but
well, think about you when you're like at the restaurant. Like you're totally kind of a pushover Pat at the restaurant a little bit.
Yeah.
You're definitely an anxious Ava, but like, you know, your personality is very different than like like what you normally are. And it's like very situational, which is why I think like it's so interesting to hear all this.
Can we describe why it's at a restaurant? I'm a pushover Pat.
Oh yeah. Well, because, you know, you have to ask for so much about like, you know, your gluten intolerance and dairy intolerance and, well, you have an actual dairy allergy. So like, you know, you have like like legitimate metabolic stuff going on, and to have to like constantly ask for it over and over and over again. I think a lot of times you're just like, whatever, I don't even want to look. I'll just, I just want it to be good. And like, I'll just get whatever I know is, you know, the easiest. Like, I'm like, well, we could just ask them but you have to ask all these questions. Like, do you use the same fryer for your French fries as your gluten products? Do you, you know, can you?
It's so nice when I go with somebody who knows and then they just order for me. It's cause it's but that makes sense too with ADHD. Like you have to ask so much for what you need every single time that it can be exhausting. I think that helps me to understand Pushover Pat more. Thank you.
Yeah. And like, I think you're just also like asking yourself all the time of like I'm constantly asking myself these things because I had to parent myself. And so like after a while, it just gets exhausting. And it's like, it's strange. It's like a weird dichotomy of like being a pushover, but also being a perfectionist. So like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like, you know, we're going to finish recording this. I'm going to put the intro song on. I'm going to put the exit song on and I'm going to post it. And so as you guys are listening right now, it may not be quite as, professional as I normally would make it. And that's okay. Because, like I need to learn how to like accept that and be okay with that.
Are you saying that radical acceptance is happening tonight?
I mean, it's going to have to, because
you's tired.
I'm so tired.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. You're not denying Dale though, because you're not denying that.
Or Diane. Denying Dale, yes. Or Diane. We're going to just put all these into the fluid genders because, come on.
Well, I shouldn't say you are or you're not. Let me tell you how it's described, and then you can tell me if this one you relate to. We'll just do a couple more because I know you're tired tonight. But I think people needed to hear your voice tonight too, being tired.
Yeah.
Because I think it's hard when you're always on and then people think that you don't have, I mean, you have such complex emotional days. And so few people get to see that. And I think the more we talk about it, the better, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, cause I will be curious to hear what differences people hear in me. Cause I mean, I feel different. I'm sure I sound different. I definitely look different. If we actually put this up on YouTube, which I haven't done yet, like, cause ADHD, but like, yeah, it's a very different experience. But I think it's so important to be as like honest with where I'm at. And cause like, I don't ever hear people talking when they're struggling. Rarely do I hear it. So it's like, if I'm struggling, like it's not that I want to bring people down. It's like, I want people to know like, hey, you're not alone. Cause like, that's the worst part. Like when you feel alone in it. And like, I've been feeling alone the last couple of days, and I know I'm not, but like we were talking recently about this idea of emotional permanence. Yeah. And I had never heard that phrase before. And it's like, Josh has object permanence, or like
or lack object, thereof. Yes.
Yeah. Has a lack of object permanence. And like, I think I have a lack of emotional permanence, like where I'm literally the person who's like, we could have had the best time together. And like, I love being with you, but I'll think that you have forgotten me tomorrow. Because like, if someone's not there, like my brain just physically doesn't remember that they're there and that they love me. And even though like I have to physically remind myself that people care about me and that people love me. It's really emotional mind meld, it's like, it's tough.
It is tough. And I hear it in you. It's interesting because usually I'm reaching out pretty regularly. Right. And I think the last like week or two, I haven't been so much. And that happens for me with you sometimes, just in the fall, especially when I get busy. But I think also you had mom there for several months and then didn't, I don't know, maybe it helped to have that little buddy.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cause like, what we're learning is that like I have an ADHD buddy in my husband, but our ADHD is very, very different. Like, and that's what I find so interesting about all these parental types, is that like the way that we parent ourselves is going to be also very different. So like, for him, he can hyper focus really well. And I just don't anymore. Like, especially with perimenopause. Like,
oh my gosh. That's a whole other, we'll have to have a whole book on just ADHD and menopause.
Oh my God. Seriously. And like, so like I flitter around, and it was so funny. Like our family therapist was like saying, Megan, like sometimes Brian might start the dishes and then like, oh, he'll like be working on the dishes. And then he's like, oh, the grout over here needs to get fixed. Let me go into the garage and get the grout, and then gets the grout and realizes, oh, that little spot right there needs to be painted. Let me paint that spot. And then, he paints the spot and then does this whole thing. And then an hour later, like the dishes haven't been done, and you come in, you're like, why the dishes haven't been done? And I was like, that's actually me. 100%. Like you just
Also,
described.
my husband doesn't fix anything, relatively speaking.
He's like, he fixes the language in our lives because he's a master at language, you know? And so I'm just was like kind of giggling to
like,
myself.
I'm the handy
like,
person. That's hilarious.
I am like,
she described you instead.
I know. I was like, no, that is totally me. It's, you know, but like he leaves all the doors open, you know? So it's like, okay, well, I go around and like close all the doors for him, you know? So it's like, we all have our own difference, but like, yeah, it was like having mom there was just like having just someone physically around that, you know, and it maybe it's because she's my mom. I don't know. But like just, you know, having a buddy was nice because like we just would get into all kinds of
Well, she would body
trouble.
mirror with you a lot, right?
Yeah.
And get in trouble with you. And she's just fun. You guys have so much fun together. But
yeah.
Okay, I want to just go through two more because I think I'm on this push. Sorry, my completionist nature, but I like this whole thing on emotional permanence versus that you don't have that. I thought that was super interesting, and I'm curious about like denying Dale because it's like this wait and see attitude about their kid that you believe that your child would just apply themselves, that they would be fine, and you're waiting for them to grow out of this stage. They don't get evaluated because you're worried about the stigma. And we must learn to do, he must learn to do what he's told. I think this one's pretty common, especially for, you know, I don't know. But I mean, I've heard it with parents sometimes with allergies, not with diabetes, thank goodness, because people know more now. But I've heard that with that and with brain-based disorders that somehow you're going to grow. I remember hearing that you would grow out of ADHD, that was a myth.
That was the going
the
theory.
belief.
That was the going theory in the 90s. It's not like it only happened for kids and you would grow out of it. So like, I think that's like societally what we've been taught.
I think denying Dale is societal.
It is societal.
You know, and so like if you believed that, then I wouldn't really blame you because you've been told that.
But also, like, I do think that there is a personality that does this where because it's not societally acceptable to have ADHD, then like, it's like, I don't want my kid to have ADHD either. Cause like once we get the diagnosis, then it's real. And I don't want it to be real. Or, you know, maybe you may not even realize that's what you're doing, you know, but like, it's like, I'm not going to have a kid with ADHD. I'm not going to have a kid, you know, I'm not going to have a kid who wants to be a dancer, you know, whatever it is. It's like, there's always these ideals that you have of like what your kid's going to be. And I think there are a lot of people who do this.
I think it's interesting because in this book, she says it's not gender based.
Yeah.
But she herself gave sort of like male names to 3 in a row that are all kind of this idea of like Pushover Pat, denying Dale. And I like that you keep adding like the female names. So, okay, I'm going to tell you the description and then you can give me the name. Okay. So playful.
Okay.
You love to play with your kids. You are the fun parent. When your spouse or ex tries to talk about problems, you don't have much to say and things, you don't think things are really that bad. You're glad you don't have to do the heavy lifting. And I don't know what you're so worried about. So this was given kind of a male name to go with playful. I'm going to say playful Paula and Peter or something. But this idea that you're not the bad guy.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting. It's the only one where she refers to your whoever your spouse is or ex. And I was thinking this one's a dangerous one because it can really, you know.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
I mean, I think, gosh, you know, like when we look at societal norms of like male and female, like, you know, the very binary old school way. It's like, you know,
old school way.
Women were the rearers, like the child rearers, and like men were the foragers or whatever. So it was like, it wasn't really, I don't think this is true for everybody, but, you know, on a gross scale, like men were taught, what do they call it? Like, something it's like oh gosh, I can't think of the word, like where you're basically taught to be incompetent. Not that they are, right? It's like it's
learned incompetence
learned
or something.
incompetence. Yep, that's what
Yeah.
it is. Where it's like or learned helplessness, right? So it's like
Helplessness.
there's these things that men just don't do well, which is just absolutely false. But it's like boys will be boys, and I think that like there's a huge shift that's occurring right now, which is good to see, that men are like, no, I can do this. But like, yeah, we don't. I was just watching somebody. We went to have our little cutesy fartsy, which is our, time when we go and have a little breakfast brunch together. And I saw this woman with like a brand new baby who's just starting to walk, and the mom is like walking this kid around the outside, and dad is just sitting at the table not doing anything. Which, okay, it could be that one moment, right? But then like, okay, now it's time like for them to sit down and have food. And then mom's trying to get the baby to sit down. And then dad's like, you need to sit. But that's all he did. So mom's like physically there trying to help. And he's like, you need to sit. And then baby doesn't listen to him. So then he just goes on and talks to like his parent-in-laws. And it's like she's like, mom's like sitting on the chair with her on her lap, trying to feed, trying to eat, and dad's just like off doing his own thing. And it's just like, it could have been just a specific moment, but I was like, this is one of those moments where I look at it, I'm just like, why is the question not like, hey, how can I help? Right. But also, it can go both ways, right? She might be like, don't help me, right? Yeah. So like, you don't know what it is.
You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's playful at all, right? What would that one be?
Well, I think that like if you're not engaging with the like mundane stuff, and then you're only engaging when it's fun for you, because like it is not fun to have to like shovel food in your mouth while you're trying to get the kid to eat. It is not fun like when you're, when you're exhausted and sleep deprived to have to like walk now for like another 20 minutes so the kid can learn how to walk. Like there's just, I've seen the moms here in my neighborhood. They're all military spouses, and like they've just had a baby and they're like at their wits end. I actually saw one woman the other day, and I walked by her and I was like, you are doing a fantastic job. Because I could just see she was at her wits end, and I was just like, you're doing amazing and keep it up. And she's like, oh my God, I haven't. I was like, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic. Just like, I just needed to hear that. So there is this part of like, there's like, I think it's not fun to do any of that. And so like, I know I've met people where like, they only want to be the fun guy, the fun dad, or the fun
And
parent.
I think if you can't be fun, then you might become the next one, which is distance Dan or Dana or somebody, right? Like you want to be positive, but you're constantly disappointed. You don't feel you have much to say maybe in the matter anyway, which can be true, especially with little kids, because they're so attached to their mom. It's like hard to figure out as the dad or either way. And then you didn't expect parenting to require so much from you. You might say something like, why can't they just do what's expected from them?
Yeah.
And I was like, that two sides, I didn't really think of it as two sides of a coin, that like you want to be the playful one. And if you can't, for whatever reason, maybe it's the stage they're in or it's whatever the situation is, then you might be the distance one. That makes sense to me, actually.
Yeah, because like at some point, or if you can't do it the way that you want to do it, I can see it being distant for you.
Yeah.
Like if you're living with a denying Dale or denying Dana, and then they're denying all these things, it's like you're so fed up with it. Like if that's like your thing, like if you like instead of fight or freeze, you flight. Like maybe you're distant because like you fly away because it's like it's easier to just leave the issue than like to actually face it head on. I could see it both ways for sure.
And I think with each of these, it's really like remembering how the kid feels when you're being that way. Because I remember there's times for me when, I just get frustrated and I just kind of shut down, emotionally, or I'm shut off at times. And I think, when you think of like a little child or just your own inner child, whatever, you want to think about. It can be pretty jarring for them. You're all of a sudden not available.
I'm 44 years old, Michelle. And like, when I see you have that flip off, I'm like, oh God, what did I do? Like, that's my initial response. Is like, what did I do? I did something, because it's always my fault. And so like any of these things, like if someone's being distant, if someone is denying, it's like, why am I not good enough if they're denying it? Like, why can't I get the help I need? Like, I think that there are all of these things that you can see from the kid's perspective, that if we're not communicating and trying to like be curious, I think that's why curiosity is such an important thing that we have talked about. Because if you're not being curious to the kid, then like you're just making assumptions, and the kid is gonna make learned assumptions, and the assumptions probably, like, if you're not talking to the kid, then like they're gonna make the assumptions, and you don't know what those assumptions are gonna be. So for me, my assumptions were really, really negative, and I'm sure that like nobody would have wanted me to have that.
Like, what do you mean? Like, is there an example you could give? Like, what do you mean by assumptions? Oh, like assuming what I think or what I feel because I'm shut down or something?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah. Like, I mean, if like, if like in any of my relationships, if someone just wants to sweep something under the rug, then I assume that I did something that they don't want to talk about. Or, if they get really anxious, I'm like, oh my gosh, if they get really anxious right after talking to me, I'm like, what did I do to cause them to be anxious? Like, so I'm trying to correlate something that I did with their emotional response. And it might just be that that's their emotional response and has nothing to do with me. But because I'm ADHD and I see so much and I feel so much, I can't help but like try to find a correlation to it.
Yeah, you're looking for the pattern almost.
Because like I've been told that I'm too much, or I've been told all these things, so I have to like figure out how am I going to live in the world. So I look for patterns, and I look for like, okay, what did I do that was wrong? And then you start reading into everything, and that's never a good place to be. I had like an entire list of rules that I had to live by, and I had to go to like group therapy just to like walk away from those rules. Because what
were some of the rules that you had to live by?
I can't make noise after 8 p.m. If somebody has heels clicking down the hall, I can't be annoyed by that. Just like really random stuff, like, this food is evil and I can never even look at it. Like all kinds of just really random rules that I made up over time. In order to
survive whatever that situation was.
I need to shut myself down emotionally if I'm ever going to go to someone's recital. That's the only way I can get through it without causing people headache. Whatever it was like, I must keep all of my belongings, in one specific spot, so I won't, venture into anyone else's space. Like, I can't take up space, like, I mean, there was just like, I couldn't ask for like the soap dispenser to be on the left-hand side. I had to keep it on the right-hand side and then like move it myself and then move it back so that I didn't upset people. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I wonder also with that, sometimes, you could have a reaction with your kids or with, really with anybody that you're sort of in that parental kind of role with. You could say something harshly one day just because maybe you're having a bad day, and that kid could then take it and extrapolate from there, right? And you don't always know. And
that's why the repair, Michelle, is so important.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like if someone's having a bad day, it's fine. Just like but like addressing it, I think is like, for me, is the most important thing. Like, I have bad days all the time with Brian, and like, I just have to address it and be like, okay, let me hold my hands up and say, where I went wrong. Because I don't want to leave it like that.
Exactly. It's funny, I have 2 teenage boys living in my house right now, right? So I've got Josh and his friend Mohammed.
Yeah.
Has been here for a bit.
Mom calls it the frat house.
Yes. So, I go to work and mom texts me. She goes, "Oh, I stopped at our favorite Mexican place and I got you some dinner." And oh, that's so nice, Mom. So I come home and I had to leave last night to go see a friend. And so I was, coming home first to drop off food for Josh because he didn't want the Mexican food, he said. And so I was bringing him something, right? And he wasn't feeling great. And I get in, it's gone, Megan. It is gone. I was livid. And I'm like, where is my they left just enough, just like our brother used to, like where he'd leave like a little bit of the Pepsi bottle, like he'd drink everything down except for they just left me like a little thing of beans, little things of rice, little thing of meat. I was like, where is this? And then Josh goes, "Oh, she said the black box. Was that not the black box?" I'm like, "It's see-through. What are you talking about?" Right next to it was the black box, but the underneath of the see-through one was black. Okay, fine.
Oh,
he's like,
no.
"Sorry, Mo and I ate it." And I was just like not 51. You know what I mean? I was like back in our kitchen growing up, like pissed at our brother. I don't even know if I saw Josh's face or if our brother's face was just right there. And it could have been a Pepsi bottle as opposed to the Mexican. I mean, I was like, "You guys suck." So, we all have our moments we might need to repair from, although they did suck. Okay, I'm sorry, but like that's crazy. They didn't, they said they did not want any, but it was funny. So I think, we get into these emotional places, emotional triggers, in our lives, and it's really hard to see it in ourselves, right? And even if you do see it, what do you do about it? Yeah. So this is one of those where I wish we had actual strategy tonight, and I just don't think we do.
Well, because we have to acknowledge it first. And the thing is, like, we have to acknowledge it.
That is a strategy, actually.
And and like take it in and own it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
what is you? What do you identify with, or what's happening in this moment?
Yeah. And it might take a few weeks to kind of like figure out which one is it. Like you'll find yourself like in a moment you're like, "Oh, I am totally acting like Pushover Pat right now," or Anxious Ava, or whatever it is. Like it's. But I think that is the strategy, is like first just identifying, okay, what do I tend to go? Where do I tend to go? Yeah. Because then we can find ways around it. But I think like, I don't know.
Well, actually, she says, and we said this before, up until now. This is how I've been acting up until now. And the first stage, she says, so she agrees with you, is become aware of your choices. Now that's interesting because it is choices, right? Doesn't always feel like choices.
Well,
sometimes it feels so automatic, right?
The first reaction is not your choice, but the second one is. So you can have your automatic
when
reaction.
I scream like, "You guys suck," then when I went back and said, "I apologize.
That was your choice.
Hungry.
Yeah.
I was just hungry. And I love you guys. But you do still suck." So
but also,
I think I kind of like,
suck.
I kind of made a good choice, but then I was sort of but I'm still kind of mad.
I know it's so weird too. Cause it's like, there is a choice. Like if you're not having a snack, like if you get hungry and you're not having a snack, like let's say, like maybe you have, like, 'cause I always have a bar in my car now. 'Cause I'm like, I know myself and I know like I am going to chew the living shit out of Brian if he doesn't have food ready for me when I want to. So I guess like maybe there is choice there's not choice on like how you're going to respond, I think, that very first time, but I guess there is choice on like how you can mitigate it at times. But I mean, they were just being
sure.
They were just sucky.
It's funny as you're saying it though, like I think it wasn't like I was so terribly hungry even. I think it was just like very young. You know what I mean? It was just like being taken back to like 15 and coming home from volleyball practice and there being nothing left in the fridge because like, it would have been
hoovered,
inhaled.
Hoovered by the teenage boy.
Probably, or by my friend. we had a neighborhood friend who would come over and she would eat everything in sight.
She would.
Yes. Her family didn't believe in having food in their home. So
yeah,
it was a thing. But anyway, yeah. And then shifting that perspective is part of that second choice. Like once you're aware, like shifting your perspective or shifting how you're kind of seeing it, I think is that next piece. But gosh, is it hard sometimes.
It's so hard. I mean, like I see this with like my relationship with Brian. Like I kind of do this thing where like I stress, like I am totally anxious Ava around him and around our stepdaughter, and just, like anytime it's like, right now, like we're in this whole throes of retirement and like I'm super anxious about it. And so like I still have those internal reactions, and I still like, because you can't, I just don't think you can actually avoid it or even, gosh, what's the, like you can't, it's going to always happen. Right. But the question is like, do you act on it or do you not? And I think in order, like but that takes time. Like it's taken me how many decades of therapy to like get to the point where I'm like, oh, I recognize that I'm doing this even in the moment.
Right. So whatever like your thing is, right? Yeah. Your thing might not be anxiety, but it might be something else. Absolutely.
And it could also change depending on who you're parenting at the time. Like, you could be a totally separate, different parent to yourself internally than you are to your kid.
And a different parent to one kid versus another. I mean, I always see that with our mom. Like, it's interesting. She's always so lovely about it, right? Like, I love you all equally, but different, or, equitably maybe is how she might say it. But I do see she's such a different person, but we all are, we do react differently to different people, different sides of ourselves, different portions of ourselves, different parts of ourselves come out. And so it would be true having multiple kids. I've, just had one to kind of play on, so to speak, or try out with. So I don't see that all those versions necessarily with him, but I do have a lot of employees, and I do see that there's these different parts of me that come out in those relationships. And some people I have to be really tough love mama with, and other people I can, give them more room. And it just, it's interesting. Well, I am so appreciative of you doing this, and I'm really proud of you for radically accepting you're going to just put an intro and put an outro and be done.
Just going to do it. We're going to do it.
You did so good.
Thank you. I did it.
And
we did it.
It's done. It's done now. All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. This week, we continued exploring the parenting personality types in The Essential Guide to Raising a Complex Kid, and we worked through the second half of them. So you know what? We now know both sets. Next week, we're going to go further into the book. I'm not sure what it is yet because you know what? I'm tired and I want to go to sleep. So that's what we're going to do, you guys.
We're going to get to demanding Randy and defensive Drew.
Perfect.
And a few more. So yeah, we got a couple more to do.
There's still more. We got another
There's
set.
Still more. There's
oh my
still
God.
more.
So next week, we're going to get to the next set. But until then, make sure to follow or subscribe on whatever podcast app you're on. And if you're enjoying you guys leaving us some stars or a review, it really helps other neurospicy folks find us and find their way here. So until then, have a great end of the week. And remember to stay curious,
joyful,
with a whole lot of radical acceptance. High kick. And scene.